We need it done this year.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are reviewing Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances, but really more specifically, we're going to look at Turning the Tide, which is the first expansion to come out for this game. So just real quick, because we've already done a review of regular Sorcerer's Arena, the core game. It's really very straightforward. This is a tactical skirmish game where you are going to either play like one-on-one, or you can play in teams of two, which both times I played in teams, technically. But we, you draft your characters. Mm-hmm. You pick somebody to start the draft, right? You draft out of a ton of really good characters, right? There's Ariel, Aladdin, there's Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, Gaston, Sully, so on and so forth, right? Maleficent, Dr. Facilius. Anyways, and then you're gonna mash up basically their character decks, shuffle them up, and then you're gonna play cards. And it's very straightforward. It's the reference card breaks it down very well. Mm-hmm. You resolve any of your statuses that are on that character, and then you draw a card, and then you get one movement phase, which allows you to move, an action phase, and then a skills phase. So the action and the movement could be from cards that come out of your hands, but the skills are going to be basically characters all have asymmetric powers, which will then give you skills. You can also spend cards out of your discard pile to upgrade your character, which we've seen done, but it happens so late that it
didn't have any effect.
He
literally had no opportunity to
I got lucky. On my first turn, Dr. Facilier is able to do so many actions, and they all happened to let him upgrade on my first turn.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, his upgrade, he then died, and I got to use it like once.
Sure. But anyways, that's basically like, so when you play a team game, which we have, so I'll speak to that, the end game is triggered by either somebody gets 20 points and then they win if they're the first one to 20, or if a player's deck runs out, they go to draw a card and they cannot. That triggers endgame. That does not mean they lose. That just then means you go and look and see the current,
who has the most points,
current victory points. So we will. That's basically gameplay. Yep. Let's go into component.
Well, that's fun, but that's not what it's about anyway. We got an expansion here, right?
Yeah. So we're going to go into components and just talk specifically about the components to start for Turning the Tide. What's in the box?
Okay, so components-wise, the game doesn't add too much because it's just an expansion with 3 characters. So you'll get their 3 characters. We got Moana, we got Davy Jones, and we got Stitch. Obviously, we played with all of them
We
today.
made sure, we played with all 3 new ones. And so the box really adds 3 characters, which you get these awesome acrylics for, which I absolutely love. You get some unique status. Well, a unique status effect for Stitch, which is no punchbacks. And then you get the water tiles for Oceanic, really that affect Oceanic characters. Now, there already was at least one Oceanic character in the core box, right? Yep. Ariel. But then Davy Jones, Stitch, and Moana are all Oceanic characters as well.
Yeah.
So the ocean tiles, as far as I could see, what they really did was they gave you guys extra movement.
Yeah,
I didn't even use it.
They don't affect the opponent unless there's like a specific card that would.
Sure, and I didn't see one.
Yeah, it gives Oceanic people free movement, and Moana had cards in her deck that I wasn't able to use, but where she heals for every tile on the board.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she has a built-in heal with it as well.
Very cool.
But they go away if you use them, so it's a one-shot free movement.
Well, no, if
kind
you
of
walk through them, then they do go away.
Mm-hmm.
But your skills usually let you pop them back out.
Mm-hmm.
It also added the one new status effect, no punchbacks, which is a Stitch status effect. I don't think there was another one that was added.
No, because Curse was in it from before.
Curse was in it before, but they gave you some more Curse tokens.
A lot of Curse.
It's actually a pretty cool thing they did with Curse, making it both good and bad.
Yeah, so the game, all of the characters, I would say, play very thematically. Mm-hmm. And when selecting your teams and everything, it doesn't hurt to have guys that like work together. Mm-hmm. But also you can, I grabbed Stitch first because I wanted to make sure he was in the game we played. And then I grabbed a character I liked with little paying attention to whether or not like symbiotically, like they would work well together. Mm-hmm. But again, so components wise, very solid, just more of the same, but that's not a bad thing. They do really good things with the components. I love the way the status effects, stick into the sides, and then it's just a very simple system of removing one, and if you remove one and there's nothing on it, it goes away.
Yep. And a lot of people really appreciate, we talked about this in the main review, but a lot of people really appreciate that the acrylic standees actually have a front and back.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's pretty cool.
Instead of just a double-sided one. You know, people like that. But yeah, again, component-wise, you know, they went with the simple, like, more is better, whatever the expression is, right? Just more of what the game already came with, but, you know, new characters.
Yeah, 3
this
new
time.
asymmetric characters. The rule book. Can you hand me the rule book for them real quick?
Yeah, it's a great. Oh, the other one. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good size too.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's this much. So it doesn't overcomplicate the game that is already there. And there's a list of literally everything that it gives you right here. So, yeah, a blank status effect, 4 cursed, and 4 punchback
I
tokens.
mean, it's not adding any new mechanics, really. It's not adding anything that you would do
Yeah.
if you don't
a
have
couple
those
new
characters.
mechanics, but
yeah, I guess the only new
just a
mechanic would
character.
be the ocean
ocean
tile.
tile.
Yeah, I guess. But if you aren't playing with one of those characters, the ocean's never going to show up.
Sure.
acrylic standees remind me of Shrinky Dinks. Remember
Yeah,
those when we
I
were
do.
little? Yeah.
I do.
Put them in the oven and they get real small.
And I
it's
So
like-
guess-
you're saying that these all started as
yeah,
like,
they put them in the
like
oven. Yeah,
fat
the
head
figs.
size.
Yeah. They put them. There we go. There's your standee.
Here's our standee. Super cheap to make.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very easy.
And I guess we should mention again, though, most of you watching this review probably have already watched the original game review because it'd be weird to just watch the expansion. But we should probably mention, because we mentioned the other one, that these are weird. So this is like how you track the life, right? You put it on here and the arrow points down to it, but like it's like they're supposed to rotate and they have these little notches, but like they don't really rotate. And then if you're not supposed to rotate and you're supposed to like lift up and place down, that's a pain. It's just a weird mechanic.
So if
It's a
I'm,
weird way
if
to go
I'm
about
paying
it.
very, very close attention to what I'm doing, if I lift very slightly but still kind of have pressure on it,
Right, but-
it'll, yeah, now I'm
You can
But
find
to
feeling
do
it.
it that way, you have to pick it up off the board, which
Sure.
negates the purpose of having a clicking base thing.
Where you can just
know.
kind of hold it and click.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
like
I
the
think-
old what are
Hero
they called?
clicks.
Hero
Hero
clicks.
clicks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
hero
just
clicks.
go click.
I think
you
this
know.
was a conscious decision for price.
Oh,
They
sure.
did not want to
Yeah,
have
sure,
to
sure.
Of
pay
course.
the extra for
mean,
moving
There's
parts
just going to
in
be
it.
people that care about that.
I guess
so.
I guess you could do it pretty easily, but I never did it this way. I always did this: picked
Pick
it up,
move it,
put
put
it
it
on
back.
its
It's not
thing,
a big
put it
deal.
back down. Not the end of the world. Little fiddly, but I do appreciate the way that they do it and the way that these tokens are two-sided.
Yeah.
So if they're on the red team or the blue team,
Right.
which is a
Yeah, and
is
red
a-
and blue is nice because it's easy to tell apart. So.
Yeah. So components-wise, any color issues or anything?
No, yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing because they're reds and blues, and they're a really blue, and a pretty red, so it's
Sure.
pretty easy to tell.
I mean,
apart.
it's got to be like the second most used color combination in
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like black and white, red and blue. Like, you know, so
yep, easy to tell apart.
yep. Okay.
All right. Let's get into final thought.
Final thoughts. So Tim, I'm just
Yeah?
kidding.
Oh, I'll go first. Let's do it. Let's do final thoughts, and I'll start first. I really enjoyed Sorcerer's Arena the first time we played. I think that I really like tactical skirmish games. I really like them. And this, I thought might be a little too kiddie, a little too simple, but actually no. They've got, you can play, they reference it as chapters, so you can play on different levels where it
Oh.
will scale down the amount of rules you're using. So maybe you're not using your skills, maybe you're not even worried about upgrading your characters. So you're just
one,
basically
twos, and then three,
just
four.
going to do like a movement and an action, you know, kind of thing. But I mean, we jump in, we played full bore. You guys hadn't
Full
played
tilt.
yet.
No,
Correct.
Our first
And
time.
the rules were very easy for you to pick up.
Yep.
It's very straightforward. The iconography is solid. It all makes a lot of sense. There's a really great reference to just tell you what all the statuses do right on the back.
That's always
which
nice.
is fantastic.
Yep.
Could they have put it on a card like
Maybe.
that?
That would be
Yes.
nice, please.
But not the end
Even
of the
that's
world.
not that. Well, at least it's on the back. It's easy to reference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
no-
I actually agree. I think that's a fantastic way of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they
So
could have. I mean, there's enough room on here. They could have put a little basic thing, but
I love how asymmetrical all the characters truly are. I really enjoy that they've got their own deck. You smash them together, right? But you shuffle them together. There are some characters that will play very well together, right? Like so, Spencer had a combination where it's like, oh, if I get a magic card, and I get a
Dr.
magic card,
Facilier and Maleficent.
and they're
Oh.
both like heavy magic users,
Yeah.
right? So
And
like
heavy
Mickey,
hitters.
Mickey, the way he plays, you can kind of stack your deck a little bit to make it so that you're getting the cards you need. And so I didn't really have that synergy between him and Stitch that Spencer, had that he had built in, but it didn't matter because I was still able to play in a way that both characters were able to be effective, and I had a good time, playing with them. So I only played as Stitch out of the new set, but I thought he was great. Again, felt very thematic, felt very unique to Stitch, and it didn't just feel like, oh, I'm just playing one of these other characters. This could just be, this might as well just be the same character. Like, no. Stitch had a really interesting range of like close range attacks, ranged attacks. I didn't even get to use it a ton, but he had this thing where it depended on if his health was even or odd. And there were times where I just needed you guys to hit me once, so it would change my health over to even, and I could do more damage in like specific ways. So again, though, right? Like that's just an awesome level of strategy that is in this game. And all the characters sort of have different things like that, where you're trying to set up these not overly complicated dominoes, but if you can set up a couple of dominoes, boom, 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 and you can really have some fantastic turns. I got really lucky because I had some really great turns with both Mickey and Stitch when we were playing, and was able to get those dominoes to fall. I had good card combos in my hand, and was able to recover from like losing my statuses pretty quick. Because normally I'd be like, dang, that set me back. Oh, never mind, I'm back in. So for me, I really enjoyed it. I think the new character is really interesting, and I think that it just adds more appeal. The way I was watching Dan play Davy Jones, and I was just fascinated. Like, I really want to know how Davy Jones works because it just looked really cool. And Moana is like a secret powerhouse. She was dealing a lot of damage.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I'll throw it to Spencer for next final thoughts.
Well, this is the first time I've played, and I want to say I did not think that there was an expansion in there. I mean, I knew, but if you didn't tell me, I would have just thought this was all the same.
Yeah.
So it integrates so smoothly, so easily.
I mean, it takes the villainous route.
Oh,
Where it's just add more characters so that people have more asymmetric stuff in there, but the gameplay stays the same.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it adds. There's so much potential for expansions.
Why
not make money? But I quite enjoyed it. It's such a short skirmish game that you're not really upset. I mean, the guy dies, he's back on his turn.
Yeah, they come back really easy.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. I didn't have any problem with any of the rules or anything in general. And yeah, Moana hits really hard.
Yeah, you were on the other end of that.
Like every time.
A lot.
Yeah. Wow.
A lot. Bob kept smacking you with that thing.
I must say I earned it.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
But yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to add. It was just I enjoyed it a lot.
Right on. Bobby.
I didn't get to play the base game before, but I did like the characters. Moana's one of my favorite characters. I liked her. I didn't get to play her, but I did enjoy watching Dan smack Spencer with the oar over and over again. I did play Aladdin and Ariel from the base game. One of the things I would say is it makes such a difference on who you pick on your team at the beginning. Like Tim was saying, the rule set's very simple, and being able to play it is really straightforward. But like, your upgrades take two specific types, and like I only had 3 of one, and I had to get 2 of those cards into my discard pile, and I ended up having to banish one of them. So now it was like virtually impossible for me to. So pay attention to what cards your people have if you want to be able to upgrade as a team. That's super important. I didn't realize how important that would be. I also feel like it went so fast that I only got 3, maybe 4 actions with my character at the end of the timeline, and one of the actions she was dead and had to work her way back up again. So I was unable to do a lot. And then it could be like how I played it. Maybe I pushed her up there too quickly, but I mean, if I need to hit somebody, I got to get up there. So, because a lot of my stuff is for adjacent people. Like I said, I like a lot of the characters, but as far as skirmish games go, there's a lot of other skirmish games that I would rather play.
Sure.
So,
but family level,
like, and that's the thing is like I could definitely get some. Kids or people who don't typically play skirmish games to, we're not doing Nazis versus, Americans. We're going to do Mickey versus Moana. So
right.
Yeah, that helps.
Daniel.
Okay, so for everyone out there that cares, because if you're watching the review or the expansion video, you probably care about the expansion and not the base game. So here's the characters that you're going to get, okay? So this is the kind of stuff people care about. Here's the stuff that Moana's going to give you, and basically she travels insanely quickly by putting down the water tiles, And like they said, she hits hard, but really that's just because of a combo I was doing. I mean, I was doing 4 damage, which Spencer was also doing. So she's just, she's on the higher end of hitting because she's not like a healer or something, but it's not like insane. Her main thing is she's super maneuverable, and her ability also procs with the water tiles and lets her look through the top cards of her deck, and she can heal from them. It's all about moving and water tiles. Stitch is a bit tanky. When he hits people, they can't hit him back once he upgrades and stuff. And then he can banish to get rid of status effects. He can put tough on himself. Like he's pretty tanky, and these you can see are his little upgrade things that he's gonna get. And then for Davy Jones,
straight up tank.
So he's straight up tank, but also again, like Tim was saying, my favorite character in the expansion, definitely because of the mechanics he adds. So basically, he is cursing himself and others, which is like a bleed effect. You take damage at the start of your turn, but also whenever cursed allies damage people, he heals. Davy Jones heals, so he's kind of like keeping himself alive by damaging other people. And he has obviously card effects that if he's cursed, X can happen, damage everyone around you. Here's his little stat thingies, and his main ability is he summons the Kraken. And it does a bunch of damage, right? Makes sense. But that's the stuff that most of you guys are here for. That's what you're going to get in the game. As far as my thoughts, again, I liked the 3 characters. Davy Jones was by far my favorite just because the very interesting mechanic I thought he had about risk versus reward. Hey, Bob, can you take 2 bleed damage on Ariel right now? Because if you're going to hit with Ariel, it's worth it in the end, kind of thing. Like, that's a really fascinating mechanic for this character. So yeah, as far as what the expansion adds, I enjoyed it, and I think that if you like the base game, then this only adds positives, I think, right? So if you're a fan of the base game, my only big complaint with the game in general, other than you've seen the main review, right? But I was talking before the show, I feel like there's a slight disconnect in complexity in this game, which is just hard to get people into, I think, to where the game is clearly, you said a second ago, it's like family weight, right? And that's what I think when I go into it. If I'm playing a skirmish game, which I don't really like skirmish games very much, but if I'm playing a skirmish game, I would bring up this one because I want a light, dumb, fun one. Let's play the Disney one, and we're going to be Davy Jones and blah, 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 and hitting each other. And, like, that's what my brain says you're going to get from this, But then the character building and deck building mechanic is so integral to winning that, like, there's this weird juxtaposition of, like, okay, let's play this really light, fun family skirmish game. Okay, but also, hold on, you have Aladdin. Okay, what character's good with Aladdin? Well, we probably, Moana and Davy Jones, they're both oceanic. They'll go really good together. And like, there's this whole level that, like, yeah, you can ignore. Of course, it's a family weight kind of feeling game. You can ignore it and just, like Bob and I just picked characters we like. Mm-hmm. And then you feel like you get stomped because if one team is playing to win and one team's playing to have fun, obviously the team's going to win is going to win.
I had fun.
I wasn't playing to win.
Sure.
You always play to win.
You got way more synergy.
But yeah, I just feel like most people are going to feel that juxtaposition of a very simple rule set. That player aid looks like it could fit in an Uno game. I mean, it's such a simple, the rule set is so simple and everything. And then this is integral to life. And so that's just kind of weird. But yeah, as far as the expansion goes, hey guys, if you like it, I think these are 3 really interesting characters.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. Yeah, 100%. If you already like the game, the expansion is just more of what you like. I don't know that there's anything in the expansion that is like, oh, well, if you don't, this is a must-have expansion.
Oh, right.
Wouldn't say that, right? Like, oh, this fixes a rule or something else. But, I mean, obviously, if you're like, oh, holy crap, Moana,
right?
Like, well, I gotta have it because.
And again, it feels like the villainous route, right?
Yeah,
it's just make a bunch of expansions with characters, and people will get the expansion with characters they like.
Except plays faster and is more fun.
But nicer components.
Like I'm actually
look at these bits.
I'm gonna bet next expansion is gonna be called like Enter the Jungle or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what all Disney owns because they own like everything now, but like it's definitely Lion King.
Yeah.
Do they own Jungle Book? Is that
yeah?
I thought so. I'm saying they own everything. I don't
so,
remember anymore.
Ariel over there.
Ooh, maybe they could do a galaxy
She's
far,
oceanic,
far away
right?
now.
But
I'm in.
Ariel did not come with the oceanic tiles.
No.
So it was a thing that they had
knew ahead
set
of
up
time.
for. Now,
Yeah.
he's downtown. Have you seen anything with downtown?
Nope.
Have you seen anything with Kingdom? So that's
Oh
what they're
yeah,
gonna be
you're
doing.
saying they're
Mickey's
their
in Kingdom
their
as well.
faction.
Yeah,
You're
they're
saying.
going to be doing things with the factions.
Yeah. No, they've totally set themselves
Kingdom.
up for very easy expansions. And I think this is really cool. I've actually kind of thought about maybe participating in this. Is
tournaments.
organized play, right? So but what organized play not only means is playing in tournaments, but that also means prize kits, and that means that there are going to be promos and things that you can win, which
Maybe
then
cool standee or something.
which like could make some really cool things you could
Gifts,
do, whether there's
sure.
characters or extra cards or maybe variants of characters. I mean, there's the sky's the limit with the stuff that they can do.
cards.
Well, I just think that they've set themselves up very well
Yeah.
with this game because, yes, synergy matters, but I had 2 characters that were not synergistic. I just played them. I would like to think played them well.
You did, but Spencer did most of the heavy lifting.
Oh, that's true. Other than Mickey, which we don't talk about.
Yeah.
He's like Bruno. We don't talk about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could do that whole Encanto family, right? You know what I mean? Like each one will have its own thing. I think they're set up to do. I believe it's just gonna be like 3 characters, 3 characters,
Yeah,
3 characters, right as they come out, similar to the villainous model. I prefer this immensely. But anyways, let's go into final score. Daniel.
So Daniel,
Bob, how do we do final score?
I usually ask Dan.
hey, how you doing? Spencer, remind me. So we're just gonna give it a 1 out of 10. We do use 0.5s just to vary the scores a little bit, so we're not all saying the same numbers. And that way, if you tend to agree with one of our opinions, like if you like games Bob likes, you can listen to his score more than us, right? But then at the end, we'll average them all together and give one score that's kind of the board game rundown score, and that's because places like BGG and Discord appreciate one score, and it's just easier to tell people.
All right. Well, Spencer.
Okay. I'm going to have to give it a
Expansion.
score. The expansion now. I didn't play with the expansion characters myself. I played
You had
against
them. You had them played on you.
Yes, exactly. I thought that they went really well, so I'm just going to give it an 8.
Sure. Would you feel that way about the base game as well?
About, yeah.
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 Okay. That's fair. Bobby.
All right. So yeah, same thing as Spencer. Right. So I haven't played the base game. I think the expansion, I would probably give a 7 because if I own the game, I'd want to make sure I got the expansion. But honestly, the game itself, I'd probably rate lower than that.
Okay.
Oof. Daniel.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because now we have like a retrospective kind of thing, right? We've played the expansion. Like if I hadn't have played the expansion, and I just like saw it on a shelf, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I don't really care. Like, oh, Davy Jones, Moana, like those are cool characters, but I don't really care. But now that I've played it, I actually think I'm going to give the expansion like an 8.5 just because out of all the characters in the game, like it's genuinely like these 3 in Aladdin are like the ones that I like the gameplay of the most. So I love the expansion. Like I love what the expansion added to the game. I agree with Bob again, though. I said earlier, I just don't love skirmish games in general. Yeah. This is a fine one. I've played it a couple times. I've had fun. But as far as the expansion goes, if you guys own the base game and you like it and you're going to the expansion, I have to give it an 8.5. I think I now that I've played it, I would say, oh, you should check out that expansion. Or I'd at least say, here's the mechanics that adds. If that interests you, pick it up. Because I enjoyed what it added.
Yeah, it's an 8.5 for me. Similar things to what Dan said. I think not only the appeal of the characters, but just I really appreciated how different they were and that they were not just like Davy Jones is basically Gaston. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they actually are their
Word
own.
different.
They
Quite different.
all work different. And unlike Bob, I really enjoyed this game. The couple of times I've played it, I just think it's really neat. I'm kind of just caught up in like how neat I think that it is and how clever it is.
Sure.
And so, 8.5 is very easy. I look forward to probably in a year or two getting my daughter to really sit down and play. It says 13 and up. That's probably right. Just for the playing at the like chapter 4, which is the highest level of complexity.
The game does do a great job with I don't know, what you guys will think and everything, but like, so there's, I don't know, 4 tanks in the game or something like that, right?
Sure.
I don't think they feel anything like each other.
No. No,
and
solely
the game does a good job of that. Like the mobile characters don't feel like each other. The tank characters don't feel like each other. They do all feel different, and so that's a big plus for games like this.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
again, with the components and everything,
Yeah,
it just is a well-made game.
Sure. So for our score, average them together, 8, right,
Yeah.
for the expansion. That's pretty good. But for the comes to the games itself, there's like 10 other skirmish games I'd rather play.
Sure, but if you're sitting down with some family that
Yeah.
aren't into the heavier skirmish games,
Yep.
this
would be the one to try, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
this is how you get them into it.
That's right.
You know,
Rope
like
man.
I'm not gonna
Then once you like it, it's heavy hitters.
Mallory, let's play Black Rose Wars.
Ooh,
you know,
doesn't that sound like fun? Roses, right? You like flowers?
yeah. Let's play
Black, black. That's a color we can all see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's good.
But I'm just saying games that you and I would sit down if we're gonna like play a skirmish game. No,
Yeah.
we may not pick this one up,
Yeah.
but at a game event, you know what I mean? Like if we're having a meetup, this is gonna have some nice table presence and be very approachable. And you could also play this in a half hour
Yeah,
and
the,
play
Yeah, it
something
played
else.
pretty
the
quick,
length is a
which is
good
nice.
bonus.
Yeah, the length is really
saying.
good. So guys, that's it for Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances. Turning the tide.
As the tide
So
turns.
much. Yeah, but Turning the Tide is a really good expansion.
It's a good experience. If you enjoy the game, it's a great experience.
Yeah, I would agree with that
Yep.
statement, 100%. So for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.